calculating the p-value for a chi-squared goodness of fit test on a TI-83 calculator. On the TI-84 calculator, when you press Stat, arrow over to the test menu, and then arrow up, you'll find that there is a chi-square test command to perform the chi-square test for independence, and a chi-square GOF test command to perform the chi-square goodness of fit test. But on a TI-83 calculator, the chi-square GOF test command is not programmed, so you will have to calculate the p-value yourself. To do this, we begin by entering the observed frequencies into list 1 and the expected frequencies into list 2. And then to calculate the chi-square formula, which is the sum of the observed values minus the expected value squared divided by expected, we do the sum by pressing second, stat, arrow over to the math menu, and arrow down to find the sum command. Press enter to select. Then to complete the formula, we start with the left parenthesis. The observed list was list 1, so we press second 1 to bring up list 1, subtract, second 2 to bring up list 2, where we have the expected values, close parenthesis, and then the x squared button gives us the square. Then we divide this by the expected values. Second 2 brings up the list 2, or expected values. Close parenthesis, press enter, and the calculator will give you the chi-square test statistic value. Now we take this chi-square test statistic value and use the chi-square CDF command to calculate the p-value. We do this by pressing second vars to bring up the distribution menu. Arrow down to the chi-square CDF command, press enter, and then you enter in the chi-square test statistic value we calculated in the previous formula. In this example, it was 21.48. Then comma, infinity. Well, in the calculator, we approximate infinity by entering in 9, second comma for the E, and 99, comma. Then you enter in the degrees of freedom. In this example, it's 4 categories minus 1. Close parenthesis, press enter, and the resulting number you see displayed is the p-value that you'll use to make your conclusion in this chi-squared goodness of fit test. So if your TI-83 calculator doesn't have the chi-squared GOF test command, you'll have to follow these keystrokes in order to calculate the p-value yourself in order to complete the chi-squared goodness of fit test. To summarize, we begin by entering in the observed frequencies into the first list, the expected frequencies into the second list. Then, to calculate the chi-square test statistic value, we'd have to press second, stat, arrow over to the math menu, arrow down to the sum command, press enter to select, then left parenthesis, second 1 for list 1, subtract, second 2 for list 2, close parenthesis, square, divide by, second 2 for list 2, close parenthesis, and press enter. The resulting number you get will be the chi-square test statistic value. We then use the chi-square CDF command to calculate the p-value. The keystrokes involved to do this would be to press second vars to bring up the probability distribution menu, arrow down till you find the chi-square CDF command, press enter to select. Then you type in the chi-square test statistic result we got in the first formula. In this example, it's 21.48, comma, and then the calculator approximation of affinity, which is 9, second comma, 99, then comma, the degrees of freedom, which are the number of categories, minus 1. In this example, the number of categories was 4, so we'd type in 4 minus 1, and then close parenthesis, and then enter. And the resulting number we get is the p-value that we can use to make our conclusion in our chi-square goodness of fit test.